ETE, Mhatap, Sini, Sinet, Ankwaste, Jed, Henu, Dua, Shadi, Seba Sodom Ka. That's your brother today, man. I'm tired. I just got back out that gym. We was getting going. And just a little bit tired. But welcome to the show. Welcome to the Per Ankh. Don't forget to go to praisethedivine.org. That's PRAISETHEDIVINE.org. Praisethedivine.org, where you'll find videos just like this, building up the I'm building up the lessons right now for y'all. Not just video. There'll be some written lessons as well. Sometimes I don't take as much time with the written lessons because you don't ever read them. People go in there, they read some of it, they read portions of it, they go back to it when they need it to go debate. But I need you to read it and comprehend it. The Virtues of Ma'at class, like 1,000 something downloads when I had it on the it's not even up anymore, the particular website. They stopped the website and turned it into a different website. But it's like 1,000 something downloads of the book. But I want you guys to start to use that information on a regular basis. Let me pull up the chat so I can see what's going on. I see some of the brothers is in here. Let me see. Let me pull it up. I think I can go if I click that. Send me to the page. I want to see the page. Here we go. Now I can see my brothers and sisters in the chat. Let me cut the volume down. Here we go. Brother Jador, Mhatap, son. Let me see. There's another person in here too. I see a couple up in here. So, psychology, language, Ausar Auset story, the Canaanite Proto-Semitic language, which they keep calling Proto-Hebrew or whatever Hebrew, which it's not. But we'll get to that in a minute. We'll cover all those things. The first thing we want to start off with is psychology. Heavy debates going on with psychology right now. I was just in a room, the Seshu Ma'ani Meru Nature room, when my Sesh brothers are in there, and Wujau was in there. My brother Ankh Menu was in there. There's other brothers in there. And I think it was in the Amon Ra squad hangout. One of those. You can go check it. And the discussion came up about psychology. And the psychology that was being discussed, Wujau makes a post saying, if more you tuned into African psychology, watch how your world would change. Then a discussion brews concerning psychology, and the term reductionist was used. So let's get into it for a minute. Let's first and foremost, let me screen share real quick. When we talk psychology, there's a couple things, right? Let's get an understanding of the psychology first and foremost, just so we know, so we have it, so it's clear. Present to everyone present. Here we go. So let's just look at psychology real quick. We don't have to go extra ultra in depth. What is psychology? Psychology is the scientific study of the mind and behavior. Psychology is multifaceted discipline and includes many subfields. The studies for the human development, sports, health, clinical, social behavior, and cognitive processes. Cognitive processes, how the brain processes information, right? Social behavior, what we all indulge in, right? Human development, what we all deal with, go through, and what makes you up. It's your makeup, your human development. So you guys know from the videos that I drop, I always say, there's a video I have, it's called If Your God Doesn't Beget. And I talk about psychology. And I say psychology is the strongest science on earth. Even though science says it's a soft science. It may be subtle in its actions, but let me be very clear. It is the strongest science on earth. And as I said on that video, and I will say right now, it's why you believe in Jesus. It's why you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's why you believe. Do you understand? It is the strongest science on earth. It's why you have so many Gnostics. It's why you have so many Methodists, so many Catholics, so many. And who makes up more people in the universe? Well, not the universe, in your universe, in your world. Is it religious people or non-religious people? It's religious people. We all know that. Who's the biggest religion? Catholic Christians, huh? Who's second? Our Muslim brothers, huh? Without question. Our brother Black Panther just did a video on religions. And some of the information he got from something I dropped in the Heck in the Chair room concerning spirituality systems. Showing how many, who, what, and how, the definition of where we sit, etc. I put all that up in there. And the brother did an awesome presentation on it. I believe Brother Kofi Pisces might have hosted it, but our brother Black Panther did. Now, with that being said, for my African spiritualists, and I'm going to talk to both sides because it's almost like a war brewing right now. Scientism, as they call it, and African spirituality, or any other spirituality, we can say. The war is this. And let me sum it up for my African brothers. As if you're Heck in the Chair, Shamsu Haru, even if you're Shamsu Set, your spirituality and your science go together. They go together. If you're Ila Ifa, for the most part, as far as I know, your spirituality and your science go together. Let me say this. For most African spiritual systems, your spirituality and your science go together. Because we don't make a distinction from the soul controller or the soul being from the manifestation. Let me explain that for a second. What is the manifestation? The manifestation for an atheist is everything that has come into being. Everything in existence has come into being. For a spiritualist, what do you call it? The creation. And when we talk about the creation, it surmises everything that has come into being, doesn't it? It's everything that has come into being. And there's no separation for the African spiritualist, which we showed on the video. Is mythology science? Is Egyptian mythology science? Yes or no? We showed that, didn't we? Without question. Which we're going to show another myth today. We're going to do that again in another myth today. But just so you know, there's no separation. So stop being so scared of one or the other. You got the science folks over here. They're scared to, I'm not spiritual. I did nothing about African spirituality, etc., etc. What up, brother Sutek Karu? And then you got your spiritualists. No, see, science is different. That we have science, but it's not all science. See, that's different. No, they're in harmony. They're in harmony. All you have to do is do more diligent studies. And when you do so, you won't be scared of this. You won't be divorced from this. This word right here, psychology. Stop being scared of science. African spiritualists. Nobody on the continent is afraid of it. It's just some African Americans appear to be afraid of it. And some of our British brothers are a little afraid of it. Because you got atheists around you who ask you questions. Get comfortable in your skin. Do you hear me? Get comfortable. Who is Olodumare? That can't exist. Who is Ogun? Who is, right? Christians run it. Did Jesus exist? When did Jesus exist? Now you got a problem there. Where's the law, right? You got a problem there too. Go watch the video I did. If your God doesn't beget, because your whole universe begets. Your whole universe is alive. And that's science. And it's all psychology, what we make the aspects and principles of nature that exist and live and are alive around us. That's psychology. And they're also ancient names. Or if you don't want to call them ancient, they're names that are not in the English language and some of the other preferred languages of our current realm and universe. Such as nature, but you say nature all the time, don't you? Such as Ausar, but if you say Osiris, they all know who you're talking about. Such as Ra, but if I point to the sun, you understand. So stop being afraid of science, right? Let's tackle something else. Let's go further. Let's go deeper. Let's go to Ausar Auset story. Let's go there. Because, like I said, mythos is just science. So let me take you to Abydos, right? Let's go to Abydos. Can you see that? I'll blow it up bigger. This here is in Abdu. It's in a particular brother's tomb. And this is the reviving of Ausar and the sexual intercourse between him and Auset, and the revivification and the watching over of our brother as Heru is made. And Heru is inside real time watching this event happen, though he is not alive yet. Now, let's get into it. This is the story of the birds and the bees. Ausar inherits Seb, the earth, the spirit of the earth, inheritance, doesn't he? We read that in the myth not too long ago. And when you inherit Seb's inheritance, you become the Nesu Beti, or the king. We'll get into what that means in a moment. When you become the Nesu Beti, you are referred to in the Medu Neter terms by two things: the Nesu plant and the bee. The Nesu is the plant representing southern upper Kemet, and Beti is the bee representing lower Kemet. The king is the bee. He regenerates. He spreads his seed. Do you understand? You see all of the Tekkenus that they built in ancient Kemet to impregnate the universe, saying, I am, I run the universe. I'm the boss. I'm big boned. I'm blessed, as Bernie Mac put it, right? I impregnate the universe with my thoughts, ideas. I run things. I am the representative of the aspects of nature on earth in this human form. I am the divine one. That's what the phallus is about, right? Now, let's get into the story, right? This is Auset. You see our sister right there? You see her above the Nasu? First, she is here at his feet. She's also represented over here at the head. As you can see, it's broken off a little bit. She's here saying the magical words that our brother Jehuti helped her get from Ra and provided for her, didn't he? Didn't he? Didn't he? Moot, moot, etc., etc. I'm not going to read today. Not showing off. Mother in such and such, ooh, eerie, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, here's our set right here, right? And who is this? This is Ausar, Winnefer, Horty Ab, right? Seker, Seker, Henekef, an offering of life, stability, strength in our brother Menra's tomb, etc., etc. We're not going to go. We're not going to read the whole thing, but yeah, that's you're looking at it. And here is our brother Heru, watching his mother go to work inside real time, and he's here while his mother has moved from the head to transform into this bird right here. And she comes above our brother Ausar as he is revivified after she says the magical words. And she becomes a kite, a bird, and becomes impregnated. Now, remember the phallus portion, which our Arab brothers scratched out, probably not our brothers who scratched it out, scratched this piece out, was reattached, and it was golden, representing honey. He is the bee, the Nasut Biti, literally, the bee. She is the bird taking seed. Once she takes seed, Heru goes from side real time to an actuality raised in the marshes. And what did we say when the sun rises in the morning? It is as the birthing of little Heru. Did we not say that? Did we not say that? What happens? The bee comes. He pollinates. The bird comes, takes that pollination and spreads the seeds. Plants grow again and germinate. This is the story of the birds and the bees. Do you not understand? Did you not know that? Did you not know that? Now you know where the story of the birds and the bees comes from. Let me stop sharing for a minute. Let me get out of share mode for a second. Huh? Let me get out of share mode for 2 seconds. Stop sharing. I just want to make sure you understand right now. I want to make sure you understand right now. That is the story of the birds and the bees. Ausar and Auset. Mythos is nature in ancient Kemet and ancient Takent or Kenti Him. My brother Reddy trying to call me. Reddy hit me later. We're busy right now, brother. Look. All right. So now you have the story. Let's tackle something else. Let's tackle something else. Because as I was having a discussion with some brothers today, my brother Sutek Haru, shout out to my brother Sutek Haru, you know, Sutek was like, he tagged me in something. And I'm like, what you tagging me in, brother? And he tagged me in a conversation he was having with a Hebrew brother. You remember Sutek, right? You remember. Shout out to brother now. And everybody watching. Brother Sutek Haru tagged me in the discussion. And the Hebrew brother was talking about the language. When he was talking about the Medu Neter language, he wanted to see how far it went back. So I gave him something that modern science knows and most people of today do not know, right? It goes back about 5,000 years. And I have an older one as well for a boat burial, which clearly shows that Hebrew is not as old as Medu Neter. It's not even close. But whatever the case. So the brother goes on to mention Proto-Sinaitic Hebrew, aka the Canaanite language or Phoenician language. Let me be clear to you about a few things. If you're a Canaanite, you're not a Hebrew. You're not. Stop pretending to be. Stop pretending that Canaanite language is the Hebrew language. Not only that, here's what I challenge you to do. Please bring up the Meron-Patah Stela too when you do it, right? There is no speaking of the term Hebrew in ancient Kemet. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen until after the Nasu era. So what you have to do is pick a lineage. What's up, brother Amin Menra? You have to pick a lineage when you go to Kemet, and you have to say, I'm either Sashu Reuben, I'm Sashu Levi, I'm Sashu this, I'm Sashu that, or you can say I'm a Hikkasah, or you can say I'm a Hittite. Because when you look at how Josephus puts the evidence together, he uses different cultures. Each one of those I named is a different culture and a different looking people and a different acting people and a different location for each one of those cultures that does not go under the term Hebrew. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. Secondly, when we go, let's just go to your Bible. That's your source. That's what they all hold and hang their hat on, right? The Bible. No, my Bible says this. God said this. Well, if God said it, let's go see. No, it's not God. Jesus said this. Most Hebrews don't even like Jesus. But if you claim to be a Hebrew Israelite or whatever you want to go under, let's go see what he says. Let's go see what your Lord and your Savior said so you can stop this lie in the first place. So you can stop this lie in the first place. And I did it on the Ausar Auset channel already. But stop the lie right now. And I'm going to stop it for you right now. Let's go. Where my screen share? We're going to stop this lie right now. Right? Because what you don't need to do is claim you're this when you're really that. Right? That's the last thing we want to see you do. I'm this, I'm that. But you're all just whack. Knock it off, right? That's what I'm saying to you. Hold on, let me get my screen share. We're gonna go in for a second. And this is no disrespect to my Hebrew brothers who are sensible and have brain cells concerned in this. But for those of you who don't, I'm gonna make this real simple. We don't have to, this is very simple. Canaanite language, group of northern, central, or northwestern Semitic languages, including Hebrew, Moabite, Phoenician, and Punic. The only living Canaanite language is Hebrew. This is what they say on here, right? Which was revived as a spoken language in the 19th and 20th centuries. See also Hebrew language, Phoenician language. Now, this is Crystal Links. The reason why they call it Hebrew is because modern Hebrews take their script from them. But it's not Hebrew, it's Canaanite. It's Canaanite. And you're a different people than them. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? In fact, the Canaanites, let's go. It says, used to write Phoenician, a northern Semitic language, which originated in about the 11th century BC in what is now Lebanon. What? The 11th century? Syria and Israel, an area then known as Punt in ancient Egyptian, Canaan in Phoenician. Do you understand? This right here, known as Punt in ancient Egyptian and Canaan in Phoenician. Now you claim you're not African. You know what Punt is, right? Somalia. It's Somalia. So this lie up here, and I'm calling it what it is, Britannica.com. This is a lie because we know that the language comes from who? Punt. It's a Puntish language. It's a Somalian derivative. Without question, it is. Not because it says it here, but because when you do the linguistics concerning it, as you see right here, Afro-Asiatic, then it has Semitic, you know its origination, don't you? You know its origin. It originated in Punt. And if you go even further, since you want to use Herodotus and Josephus in the first place to continue this lie, let's be clear what Herodotus said about those who were Libyans and Lebanese and the Phoenicians who came from Libya. He said they were the guys who like strange sexual behavior in ancient Kemet who would get kicked out because of their strange sexual behavior, and they would be pushed over to Libya where the blackheads were so that they could exist without trouble. They were sent on strange on wild missions that you may not come back from. That's how Phoenicia and Libya got populated, according to Herodotus and Josephus, who you take this lie from in the first place. But let's be clear. The language is really a Puntish language. That's where it originated from. And through Punt, you take different things, but you claim you're not African, but you're using an African script. And if I ask you if you're Phoenician, you'll say no, but you're using an African Phoenician script. And you claim everything, you disclaim everything until it gets to the Semitic. And when it gets Semitic, all of a sudden, yeah, I'm a Hebrew. Foolish. And I'm gonna make you stop it all together. I'm gonna make you stop it all together because Jesus is your Lord. Jesus is your Lord. So let's go to a faith of a Canaanite woman. It says this, it says, leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him crying out, Lord, son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is demon possessed and suffering terribly. Jesus did not answer a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, send her away, for she keeps crying out after us. He answered, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. The woman came and knelt before him. Lord, help me, she said. He replied, this is when Jesus is cussing, because we all know what a female dog is. He said, it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the boop. It's right here. It's right here. You see it. It is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the, oh, what's a female dog? And you know what she supposedly said? She says, yes, it is, Lord, she said. Even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Knock it off. Knock it off. You know what Jesus is doing right here? He said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. So the Bible has a contradiction with the Britannica.com because there's a difference between an Israelite and a Canaanite. He didn't come for the Canaanites. They're not of Israel. You don't want me to go back further. You don't want me to go back further and pull up the information in the Bible that shows the different houses, the house of Shem and the house of Ham. Because you know what? Canaanite don't fall under Shem's house. Falls under the house of Ham. And no Israelite is a Hamite. None of you. None of you. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. You can't. You can't. I already know you can't. Let's read it again. Just this part. It says, he answered, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. Who's calling a Canaanite woman? A Canaanite woman. But he was sent only to who? Israel. So what is a Canaanite not? An Israeli. And what did he call her? The same thing Donald Trump just called the female the other day, didn't he? That's Jesus doing that. So let me tell you real quick. Stop trying to use the Canaanites as your scapegoat. Please. Please. Don't do it anymore. Don't do it anymore. You know why? Because it's not true. It's not true. I don't know. Did I share that? Let me check with the click. See if I shared that. Let me see. Did I share that right there? Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? I don't think y'all see because y'all see my face. Let me pull it back up real quick. I want to make sure you see this. This is the Bible. This is the Bible. Let me see. There it is. Let me pull this up. Let me make sure my screen share popped off. This is very, very simple, candid knowledge. That when you have it, there's no question. There's no question. So you watch the Britannica lie. Watch the Britannica lie. We pulled that up. Hold on, let me share it. Present to everyone. Let me make sure you see this. What did he say right there? I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. You see that? What did he say right here? It's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. Jesus said, you snitch, you a dog, you snitch. No food for you, no bread for you, no knowledge for you, no guidance. Oh, woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed of demon possession at that moment. There she is groveling. Very clear. Matthew 15, 21 through 28. In any version of your Bible. Any version of your Bible. And in case you missed the other portion, let me make sure you've seen this. You see that? Here's the Britannica lying immediately. Hebrew, Moabite, Phoenician. This is a lie. This is a lie. The only way it's not a lie is if you live with the fact that over time you tried to abrogate the Canaanite or Phoenician, or if we go even further back, Akkadian language, and call it Hebrew. And you can see right here, African, Asiatic. I don't know why they have a problem saying African. Let's call it African, Asiatic. Then it went to Semitic. And you see it didn't even get to Northwest Semitic, which Hebrew is, Northern, Central, or Northwestern. It didn't even get to that until after it went to these other Semitic locations. Hebrews are Northwestern Semitics. You understand? This is a Canaanite script. This here is Canaanite. And Canaanites are from the house of Ham. Case closed. Stop trying to pretend. You're not fooling anybody. And guess when it was created? Why you keep lying about the dates? A northern Semitic language which originated in the 11th century BC is now Lebanon, Syria, and Israel, an area then known as Punt in ancient Egyptian, Canaan in Phoenician. That's why you have an Ankh. You remember Brother Sutek? He pulled up that seal. That's why you have an Ankh on your seals, because you were a part of Africa. You were a part of ancient Kemet. Your language came from that. And there's a seal, an Ankh, to show it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that Ankh if this story about you running away was true, because you would definitely not try to be subservient to ancient Kemet. If you created your language, you would still speak and use your language. What you doing with an Ankh on your seals? Older language. You make no sense. Silliness. Anyway. Vassal kings, yes. Stop the share. Here we go. Now, what else do we need to cover? Let me see. We hit psychology. We hit Matthews. We hit, what else did I put in? We hit the birds and the bees. We tried to unify our brothers on science, science and mythos, and being science shouldn't separate you from your spirituality. Spirituality shouldn't separate you from your science. There's a healthy marriage in between, gentlemen. Those arguments to me are silly that you're having, because science does not separate spirituality necessarily, right? It's certain things that are psychological. But psychology is what? The biggest science you know. Like I said, if you can tell me someone who is not religious in a bigger number than religious people, then you have a talking point. But as far as you know, most of the people you know in your family, etc., on down, they either Christian, Muslim, what you are, atheists. Not that many. Not that many. They're growing, yes, but not that many. They're not that many. And it doesn't mean that, you know, you can't be an atheist. I'm just simply telling you, there's not that many. Everybody that you know is under some psychological, some code of ethic spell. And it's because you have a moral system inside. Probably because you're created, not manifested. You could take that how you want to. Everything in your universe begets something else. Your universe thinks. We knew that before. We said that before the little scientist said, drop the information. We knew the method in which it created. I had pointed it out on this show before. I had pointed it out on my brother Kalam's show before. You're just not doing real science. You got a bunch of people typing in chat rooms. You don't do science. You don't even have a telescope. How you gonna tell me about the stars? You don't have a microscope. How you gonna tell me about cells and microbiology? Oh, I read a report on Google. Stop listening to these weirdos. And somebody called me pseudo the other day. I said, how? Then he called me a bunch of other slurs. Then I told him I stretch him. And then he stopped posting. And then I called him a house Negro, which I probably shouldn't have. And then I cleaned up the post. And we go through these types of exercises on a regular basis, and we have to stop that. We have to stop that. It's bad for cultural relationships. You know, you don't just want to post stuff to battle. You need to get in here and learn some things. And once you learn some things, then if you decide that certain things need to be tackled, go tackle it full head of steam. Simple as that. But I'm glad we could address these things. I'm going to look at the chat room real quick. All my brothers is in here. Amun Menra Sut Atam. What's up? My brother Sutak Karu, my brother Jador. Some other folks up in here, just not in the chat room, I see. If y'all got something that should be addressed, let's address it. Brother Nell, I see you, family. Anything y'all want to address, let's address it. I'm gonna give y'all a second. Yup, that Hezekiah seal. Yup. Yeah, people be on that Jesus thing. Like, people make stuff up. They do it at work all day. I be messing with them. I be giving them church sermons. I be messing with them all day. They be cracking up. I give them a per Ankh sermon. And then I use their Bible because that's their source. It's not mine. It's theirs. So I give them their source. After I give them their source, I give them my source. But too many people, they get into banter about what a certain character in the Bible did, and they'll make up a story that never even happened. Some of my Muslim brothers do it too. Less, because you get checked in Islam. In Christianity, you got leeway. You just do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Plutarch story, it's authority. Plutarch's story concerning Ausar and Auset has authority because the things he says can be verified. The things he says can be verified. The only things that can't be verified are some of the words he tries to make statements for. In his story, he mentions how when they slammed the door shut down on Ausar and put the molten lava around it and threw it into the crowd, people were so horrified that it created the term panic. That one, okay, we can see that. But some of the other ones that he uses, when you read the long version, not all the so-called created terms make sense. Some of them do, some of them don't. His story is good, and it has It has truth to it. But when I want to go to the story, I start to dig through. There's a few sources. The Dendera Temple at the top, there's a whole screenplay of the whole story. Most people don't know that. I had pointed that out. Black Lotus, I pointed it out on your show a long time ago. Some years ago. And then there's other texts that reveal it as well. This book gives it to you as well. The pyramid text gives it to you as well. The coffin text gives it to you as well. Where's my other book? The Book of Earths gives it to you as well. The Book of Earths talks about the cavern of Ausar, etc., right? So they talk about it. Brother Nell said, address capitalism versus socialism, communism as it pertains to the future of our people. This is a mixed thing. I don't think capitalism is necessarily an evil thing. Imhotep Buffy Black. I don't think capitalism necessarily is an evil thing, right? What I do think is that interest in some of the ways that you can do capitalism is bad, not just for an economy, but for a nation. A nation. We're experiencing some of that now with stocks that China has bought, which has made China more powerful than the US and made China able to put tariffs on certain US products. We're going to experience some of that here in Colorado concerning some of the things that we use to make houses and real estate, right? So some of our drywall, some of the things that are in the drywall, they have a tariff and a tax that they can put on that now, and they're going to exercise it. And that's going to make the houses in Colorado, which were already unaffordable, even higher, just to make the home. So you got a lot of people turning to container homes, which are not bad anyway, because those are the vacation homes you usually see in Thailand, etc. They look really awesome, but it's a different way of making houses in order to get away from some of the Chinese tariffs, which they gained through buying US stocks, which empowered China in the US. Now, if we go socialism, I'm not against socialism to a degree, because some people, some of us have a problem with the sister on welfare or the white dude on welfare, because more white people are on welfare than blacks are. Kentucky is the leading state and the cause of most of the plummet of America's economics when it comes to the effects of welfare on our being in our pockets. European, please get off my dime. No disrespect to the Europeans, but I'm just saying that's where it's coming from. Kentucky, the KKK in particular, if you guys did not know that. So you can go look that up. That's facts. KKK, get off our dime. You know, be like the more presentable Europeans that we know. Now, when that happens and I have to pay for them on a regular basis and they're non-productive and childbearing on a regular basis, we got a problem. It takes a village, but people start to get upset when you got to feed the wino too, you know. But we have to understand that socialism allows a gathering of people to all come up together. The problem is, if one of us has a better idea than the rest, we don't really get to make a bigger paycheck from it, even though we may all benefit from what was created, such as the toilet, such as a shower, such any creation, right? Such as the sofa I'm sitting on. A sister in Nigeria right now is taking full advantage of all of the furniture she makes. And she's the richest African woman in the world, including African Americans and Africans in Cuba, etc., etc. The richest. I think she's 5 billion or something. Oprah's running up behind her, but not fast enough off of her furniture. So socialism is kind of Catch 22. Communism is not good because when you see Vladimir Putin right now, you can't even disrespect the nation, and he's an okay leader at times. So you don't want to necessarily always be under uh, a communistic rule. Now, in ancient Kemet, you had uh, you had a mix of both. You're looking at the first remnants of what we have today in the United States, because you got a bunch of African cultures coming together, right? Then you have a king on top of these things, but the king has to be in one. I think it's Akhenaten. He makes a statement that we make in the book of Coming Forth by Day, and the statement is not in my head right now, but it basically says, "I'm subservient to you. I'm subservient. I'm gonna do everything I can to help you. I'm at your service," basically, is what the king is saying, because the armies will not fight for him unless, right? And you can really see this during the intermediate periods in ancient Kemet, when you follow the quote unquote dynasty uh, history line. So anytime they're in a state of intermediate period, there's an influx in the state. And there could be a ruler in Upper Kemet, and there could be a ruler in Lower Kemet. And then you could have a bunch of tough guys who become viziers later, period, right? So even though the king is supposed to serve the people, the problem is, in your service, you should still have control over your state. And when you don't, you tend to have a flux, or if one side is strong over here and they press you, you have to do what that side says. And if they don't like this particular side over here, then that creates a problem for these guys over here who could be righteous. They just don't get along from them, from an old beef, Hutu Tutsi type style, right? So you have to the communist method is not necessarily the greatest. I think one of the reasons why African Americans in particular stop liking the capitalistic method is because right now we're at the bottom of it. But the reason we're at the bottom of it is because we're not creating business. We're pushing business, meaning we work for somebody. We're not creating businesses to sustain ourselves. If we were, and if we were doing business with back home and a few other places where we're in abundance, I don't think we would have the same outlook, because the people on the continent, they're okay with capitalism. They're like, let's get this money. Ghana's like, let's get this money. What you talking about? Nigeria, let's get this money, right? Tanzania, let's get this money. What you talking? Let's get this dough. Well, that if he don't catch on, that's him. Let's get this money, right? Doesn't mean that the village shouldn't should leave people behind. What it does mean is that as we create things and do things, we need to. And I'm going to cover this coming up here. It's going to be why do you study ancient Kemet? And I'm going to pull out the occupations in ancient Kemet. And I'm going to ask, why aren't we taking advantage of these? Why aren't we performing these? Why aren't we in charge of some of these stations? Very simple. What else we got? What else we got? Is that it? Buffy Black is in the building. Imhotep says. It looks like that's it. So we're going to close it out. ETE Imhotep, Uncle Jed, Uncle Jaseneb. Don't fall victim to these characters, man, on the internet. It's a lot of brothers out here. Some of them promote some good stuff. Some of them don't. Last question right there. Did Egyptians enslave Nubians? Some Nubians helped Egyptians enslave certain parts of Nubia. There was beef. When you see there's a boat model. You see a white dude on the back, you see a Nahesi on the front, a Nubian on the front. The Nahesi brother was a trader who tried to help this particular Hikasa take over Kemet. And when the letter that the Hikasa sent to the Nahesi brother was intercepted by, I believe it was Amos, he knew what it was. And he sent one of the Nubian brothers, one of the Nahesi brothers, to go get the brother from, I believe it was Kent. And then the brother that he sent, they was like, come over here and kick it with us. The particular brother that he went to go affiliate with to go get this other Nahesi who was a traitor. His name slips my mind. I just came from the gym. We was getting busy. So when he's sitting over there in Kinti Fair, I believe it was, or Ta Kent it was, one of those. He's saying, I did the show. It's what can we learn from a tomb? You can go read his, you can go watch that. It's a little video breaks up, but it comes on for important parts. And he's saying, yo, I had to go correct this dude. I had to go chase him through such and such, and finally brought him to arms. So when they finally find this guy, Amos, son of Ibanya, is helping. Obviously, he's getting busy too. But when they find this brother, they tie him to the front of the boat when the king does his victory lap, and they tie the Hikasa, the European dude in particular, to the back of the boat. And as the king makes his victory lap, that's how they meet their demise from the ocean. That's how they meet their demise from the water. And in doing so, that particular part of Kinti Nefer, what you call Nubia, that particular portion was corrected. And yes, they got some correction, and some of them were slaves. Yes, no different than one of the Sashu Reuben, Sashu Levi, Sashu, right? All those countries that are outside of Africa that have beef, slave. If you have beef with us, right? Because generally, Kemet would go beat you up, say be cool with us, and we need this from you. And we're not gonna post here, because nobody wanted to die outside of Kemet because they felt that land was not pure. You would be buried with some weird ritual instead of buried like we bury you in ancient Kemet, right? So instead of sending people out there to maintain those lands, they would go beat you up. After they would beat you up, they would come back home, and then you would be a vassal king. And if it was a problem, they'd go back out there and march on you again. Right? But nobody wanted to live there because you couldn't maintain Kemet. So they all was like, all right, we beat them up. King, we coming back? Can we come home? Yeah, come on back home. Sorry I had you out there so long. They come back home. They settle down their province. There'd be a vizier, or it's generally a vizier who leads an army, and they settle down their province. And once they settle their province back down, they live peacefully. And that vassal king, which we talked about earlier, would send tribute, would do as Kemet wanted them to do, but they would be able to have their own spirituality system and maintain their culture. We weren't culture vultures. Kemet didn't like what you were about. They liked what they were about. And if they needed something from you, they'd ask. And if you didn't give it, then they come take it from you. And then after they take it, they say, can we sign a treaty concerning this? We don't want to be, we don't want to keep having to whoop you. And yeah, we said, we don't need that to happen again. Here, you can get as much cedar wood and as much incense and as much, lapis lazuli as you need. And that's how it went down. That's how it went down, right? And that's how it was. Let me see. Different nations. Same thing was going on in West Africa when we were taken as prisoners of war. No. When we were taken as prisoners of war, and with what started with the Arab brothers, you have an ancient African clan really starting the Muslim brothers as the Arabian tribes start to come together. When they do slavery, they, because Kemet was done, right? Kemet was done. Most of uh the 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 Aku moved towards southern Upper Kemet, moved deeper into Africa, which is Upper Kemet. And once they moved deeper into Africa, like that barren area was claimed. Like when the Ptolemies come over and get involved in all that stuff, most of your Nasus and your African Aku, they move downwards, right? Ethiopia maintains its position, but most everybody else is moving back into Nubia. The Maasai in particular, they move back down south. They go down south. The Kuku people, or who people call Khoisan, the Kuku people, move back down further south. The Hutus and Tutsis, your Tuts and your right, we move back over here to central in the Congo. If you see the Congo, it touches the Sudan. It's not that far. It's big, but that northern area of Congo, all that's right next to the Sudan, and right next to Tanzania is right over here, right? So they come back into deeper Africa. Now, when the slavery starts to take place and the Arabs start to trek, they start to trek on old African lines and hit West Africa, and then they start to take you back this way to the east. After they take you to the east, which is why you have slaves in Arabia and what have you, once Portuguese and all of Spain and everybody else start to come, like Spain hit southern Africa, right? They also hit other parts, but they hit in southern Africa and they hit in other parts. When England lets its slaves go, most of them to do this American experiment, those guys come over and they start to hit Western Africa. They start to hit the western coast. Some of them hit the southern, but Portuguese starts to go up west as well. So you get a mixture of who's being taken. This is why when I helped Seba Reggie do his presentation for the in the first round, he's showing the slave trade when he's debating the Moorish brother. That first round is me and him setting everything up. And it shows all the slave lines, all the trade from the captives from Africa. It shows you everywhere that we went and who went, which is why it's not a good thing to try to discuss or battle him concerning that issue, because we got extensive. We got real extensive. Was the same thing that was going on in Kemet for the most part? No. And here's why. Here's why, Brother Sutek. The reason it's not the same is because we were a little more humane, right? And then the same reason my brother Wujau says that Kemet didn't mean black people is the same reason I say it does. Because you see it come up right around when we kick the Hikkasai out. And when we kick the Hikkasai out, he says, why would we say we're black people? I say, look, you just got invaded by a foreign culture. If you kick them out and you all of a sudden come up with the name, why would you come up with that name? Because there were distinctions concerning those people and your people at that time, right? All of a sudden, on the top of one of the per ankhs, it says, do not teach the Asiatics. Because they betrayed. They helped in the betrayal. Do you understand? So if they help betray, now we got a personal problem. Now we make a distinction of our culture and our, there's distinction. There's distinctive lines. Where his goes the other way. He says, well, we're already black. Why would we call ourselves that? Well, we just had a foreign invader come over here, and the name pops up shortly after that invader leaves, right? That's just personal banter. We can get it on concerning that, my brother. I'll make a dissertation. You made your dissertation. We can go back and forth a little bit just to have some fun with it, just to see where it goes. Just to see where it goes, what kind of evidence we come up with, and if yours is better, I'll bend to yours. If mine is better, bend to mine. Let's go where it goes. Right? No big deal. It's just banter concerning that word. That's a good discussion to have. But the slavery is different, right? We'll cut a hand off for money and a foot off for money, but we turn around and treat you humanely. And while you're there, you can still practice your spirituality. And when you're there, we may call you a Ramech name, an Egyptian name, if you will. But on your tomb, like you see on Pa-Heka Amen's tomb, Pa-Heka Amen, we let him have the choice if he wanted to use his Hyksos name, his Hyksos name. He chose to keep his Ramech name. But he had a choice, and he was always treated well. So the slavery is different. When European culture gets a hold of you, there is no humanity. You're stuffed in a boat. You're squished, jam-packed. You're defecating on yourself. You're urinating on yourself. You're dying from disease in there. If it's a bad load, they're throwing you overboard. They're not treating you of any sicknesses. When you get here, you know what happened when we got here. I don't need to tell you. You've seen Roots, you know. It's different, right? It's less humane. It's much less humane. Now, our beef with Greece, the Italians, when we have even before the Punic Wars, even before the Barca versus Greece wars, right? When we had beef, we would step to them and they would be subservient most of the time because they revered us and they wanted to be like us, which is why we have the Temple of Auset in Greece, right? Or in Rome in particular, right? It's in Rome. And what's his name? The crazy guy, Caligula, right? Caligula, he loves Auset so much. The Gauls that were infiltrated into his army, he made them go fight the sea. He made them go fight the sea because they were disrespectful to Auset. He said, go fight the sea, go fight the ocean. Why do they go fight the ocean? Because Auset is also considered to be a part of the ocean. When you get into the mysteries, when you get into the Shetah, as the Medu Nature word is. And he made them go fight the sea. Some of them died. He made go deeper, go into the armies. You're not killing the armies. And then he just stepped back and said, look how stupid these guys are. So they called Caligula a lunatic, but he wasn't. He just was he was a raw teacher. And you know, you have things of that nature happening. So a lot different when we talk about the slavery. Even though if you disrespect the king and he decides to exact ma'at in your non-ma'at area, yo, we'll come get you, right? The Ramecha come get you for sure. Absolutely. Let me I'm gonna end this out then. ETE Imhotep, Ankwas the Jed. Remember who you are and be an Ausar. See Ausar when you look in the mirror. See Auset when you look in the mirror. And hopefully the information, you know, just continues to get clearer. And I'll see you soon. Uncle Josh and life, strength, and health.